Hello there, Marvin Kilborn here, retired public school teacher. This video is going to be about teacher pay. Got to do it. Just got to talk about it. I could talk for hours on teacher pay. You don't become a teacher for the money. I got so sick of hearing that crap. Of course you become a teacher for the money. Why else spend all that time in college becoming a teacher, looking for a job? We work for money. Period. Okay? But I guess a lot of teachers tell themselves they don't become a teacher for the money just to convince themselves to accept the crap pay that they're paid. And teachers truly are paid badly. I remember talking to a friend of mine once, and we were talking about teacher pay, and he goes, I always hear how badly teachers are paid, and maybe you are, but guess what? You aren't performing brain surgery. True, we're not performing brain surgery. Actually, there's around 340 million people in this country, over 3 million school teachers, public school teachers, and less than 3,700 brain surgeons or neurosurgeons. So granted, we're not all performing brain surgery. But you know who else doesn't perform brain surgery? Professional athletes. They don't perform brain surgery, but they're paid millions of dollars to play a stupid game. There's just no justifying paying teachers as badly as they are. Now, again, I spent 15 years in the profession. You start paying attention to things like how much school administrators make, especially superintendents. I mean, principals are paid way more, at least twice what the average classroom teacher is paid to do very, very little. I spent 15 years observing these people. Didn't see them do very much. But superintendents, man, they're paid hundreds of thousands of dollars to do basically nothing but sit behind a desk all day. I remember once asking my principal, I said, I'd like to shadow the superintendent one day. I just want to see for a fact what school superintendents do. My request was denied. That should tell you something right there. Put it into a certain amount of perspective, the governor of the state of Texas only makes $150,000. What could a school district superintendent possibly be doing to be worth $200,000, $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 a year? It's got to boggle the mind. Again, they do very little. But teachers, they do all the work, and basically everything gets delegated down to the teacher. And we truly do work for peanuts. When you consider the fact that, in my opinion, any job that requires you to go to college to get a degree to do that job ought to be paying more than $40,000 a year. Now, not all teachers make $40,000. That's just a number I came up with. We'll get more in depth into how much teachers are actually paid very shortly. But before we start looking at what teachers make or how much they should make, let's look at what they do. Well, we all know they teach all day long. And they do teach all day long. From the first bell of the day to the last bell of the day, teachers teach all day long. And actually, principals tell teachers, make sure you're teaching bell to bell. And the reason for that is to cut down on behavior problems. If you don't give kids free time, then you're not going to have as many behavioral issues. Kids just can't handle free time, or not much of it, most of them. But in addition to that, these lessons don't write themselves. Right? On top of the teacher spending all day long in the classroom teaching, they spend whole bunches of extra hours preparing and planning these lessons and activities for their kids. Also, while you're actually teaching, you're not just teaching. We're teaching children. So to a big extent, we're kind of super hyper qualified babysitters. You're dealing with behavioral issues. You're dealing with psychological problems. You're dealing with various different learning styles. You're dealing with special education students. You're dealing with the little punks that just want to do nothing but cause trouble. You're dealing with students that want to be disrespectful and interrupt your lesson to ask stupid questions like, why do we got to learn this? Mr. Kilborn, when will I ever use this? Well, how the heck am I supposed to know? I don't know what you're going to do with the rest of your life. We're here to learn. I'm here to teach you. And I'm teaching what the state mandates that you're to be taught. That's it. So, and what else? Oh yeah, you're kind of like a nurse. Always got kids asking, Mr. Kilborn, I need to go see the nurse. Or Mr. Kilborn, do you have a Band-Aid? Or do you have an aspirin? It's just nonstop stuff in addition to trying to manage, maintain, and teach your class. You're also constantly being interrupted from the office. They come on that intercom all day long. Mr. Kilborn, could you please send Johnny to the office? I mean, it's just nonstop. You're right into the heart, the meat of a lesson, and they come on to interrupt you to ask, hey, is so-and-so in your classroom right now? Then, of course, you're dealing with unimpressive, inexperienced, low qualified principals that want to come in and observe you and then try to advise you on how to teach better. One of the problems with this is most principals, I'm going to do a whole video on these administrators, but most of these principals were never teachers themselves, or at least they didn't teach a real subject. PE teachers, music teachers, things like that. But so you're doing a whole lot of stuff. Oh yeah, you're also expected to make parent contacts. If little Johnny wants to cause problems with your class and you want to send him to the office, normally the first thing the principal asks is, well, have you contacted the parent? Man, I ain't got time to contact the parent. Teachers are trying to do their jobs. Okay, we shouldn't have to be contacting parents anyway, but that's just another thing we're expected to do. So we've got all these responsibilities to do, and like I said, in a very real sense, we're just hyper-qualified babysitters. Well, let's look at what teachers are paid. Okay, currently in the state of Texas, we're paid at what's called a minimum wage. Minimum wage is all over the news right now. They're talking about raising the minimum wage to $15 an hour. Well, do some quick math on that. If you have a job working 40 hours a week, $15 an hour, 50 weeks a year, that's $30,000. Okay, so for a minimum wage job, if it goes to $15 and you could work 40 hours a week, 50 weeks a year, 8 hours a day, you're going to make $30,000. Let that sink in. Get in your own mind what you think a teacher ought to be making. All right, here's what the state of Texas thinks a teacher should be making. And this is what our politicians, our legislature, whoever runs this stuff, this is what they think teachers are worth. Currently, on the minimum salary schedule or the minimum pay schedule for teachers, a first-year brand new teacher only makes $34,000. $4,000 above the projected or wanted minimum wage. $4,000. So $34,000. This is a college-educated professional teacher working 60, 70, 80 hours a week for $34,000. Let's skip all the way through the pay scale and get to 20 years. The teacher pay scale actually maxes out at 20. So you can work for 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, however many years you want to be a teacher. Your pay is going to max out at the 20-year point. Currently, based on this year's minimum pay schedule for teachers, $54,000. Let me put this into a little bit of perspective. $34,000, what a first-year teacher is supposed to make, $34,000. My military pension is almost $34,000 a year, and I get that for doing nothing. And I retired 20 years ago. Let's go to the top of the pay scale, $54,000. Man, that's less than I made as a master sergeant in the Air Force, and that's 20 years ago. Again, I can't stress enough, nobody could argue that teachers aren't underpaid. They truly are. So, all right, what should a teacher make? Let's compare it to the babysitter. Okay, the current average yearly or hourly rate for a babysitter is $15 an hour. That's the average rate. I mean, you can look at it online and it kind of varies a bit, but basically it's $15 an hour. So let's take a teacher that, let's say, has 20 students, 7 periods a day for 180 school days. Okay, so that's that would be $15 an hour times 20 students times 7 periods times 180 school days. That is $378,000. Should a teacher be making that? Should a teacher be making at least as much as a babysitter would? I could argue, yeah, I think teachers should be making around $300,000, $400,000 a year. Probably outrageous. Taxes to pay, because your parents, or I'm sorry, if your kids, parents, adults, working people pay taxes to fund the schools. So taxes would have to skyrocket if we were to pay teachers what they're truly worth. In my opinion, I think teachers would be happy. I know I would have been. Let's say $100,000. Let's say we start teachers at $100,000. And I don't know what the annual pay raise would be, but a college educated professional teacher, I think should start out at least 100 grand. Now, when it comes to raises, one thing about that teacher salary schedule, teachers are only paid based on the fact that they're a teacher, just the fact that they are a teacher based on the number of years they've been a teacher. So a kindergarten teacher makes the same amount as, let's say, a high school chemistry or physics or calculus teacher if they've been working the same number of years. That doesn't make any sense at all. One thing about raises too is teachers, we don't get annual raises. I mean, there's a step program. You know, you're paid based on the number of years you've been working. But school boards are the ones that determine whether or not a district or teachers are going to get a raise. They don't typically give raises every year. It might be every 2 years, every 3 years. I worked in one district that had went 4 years without a raise. But when the school board finally gets around to giving the teachers a raise, it's usually somewhere between 1% and 2%. Well, the rate of inflation, the annual rate of inflation is closer to 3%. So even when the school board does finally get around to giving a teacher a raise, it's less than the average cost of living increase every year. So you may be getting a raise, but you're really kind of going backwards. You're always lagging the cost of living. What's interesting too is in several districts that I worked in, when the school board got around to giving a raise, the superintendent would send out an email telling the teachers, make sure you thank your school board for your raise. What am I supposed to thank them for? Making sure my pay lags inflation? Making sure that I'm getting poorer and poorer every year? That's just stupid. Plus, I've worked a lot of different jobs in my life, and I've never, ever been asked to thank the boss when I was given a raise. You're given a raise because you've earned a raise. You deserve the raise. That's why you get raises. That's why you get promotions, typically, because you deserved it. You deserve it. You've earned it. You're not expected to thank anybody for it. Be like I know when I was still teaching, sometimes I would have a student that would get a really great grade on a test, and he would thank me for the great grade, as if I just gave it to him like a gift. I would just tell him, don't thank me. All I did was teach you and then grade your test. You got the grade you earned. No reason to thank people for getting things that you deserve or that you earned. So that's my rant on teacher pay. I hope you enjoyed it. Again, as always, if you're watching these videos and enjoying them, I certainly appreciate it. If you'd like to subscribe, go ahead, leave a comment if you'd like. But until next time, thank you very much. Bye-bye.